The last place you want to be caught is red-handed at the crime scene. While you might not be a thief, you probably already know that. Unfortunately, not everyone got that seemingly obvious memo, or maybe fortunately, because it makes for some quality entertainment. This man who had looked like a regular shopper was actually a thief. Not even in disguise, he'd walk into his regular convenience store, load up on whatever he wanted, and walk right out without paying. It had been going on for quite some time, and the convenience store owner had already made it clear to his employees until one fateful day, enough was enough. The door was remotely locked as the manager flipped a switch, leaving the spree thief caged in his final destination.
Lock the door. Did you hear?
He attempts to return the stolen goods before grabbing just one drink to steal and starts running at the door.
Let me out, man. You think I'm playing? Let me out.
Even that's not quite enough though, because it takes another few minutes before his foot finally pushes through the door's plexiglass and out into the street. He gets away, but not before lashing out like a caged rat for a while. The lengths people will go to for freedom are wild. This footage shows a gas station attendant in Coral Springs, Florida being held at gunpoint on July 20th of 23. At around 5 in the morning, an armed person came into the Chevron station demanding money. The person is hidden behind a cap, sunglasses, and mask to conceal their identity. Throughout the ordeal, the gunman keeps one hand on their gun and the other on the clerk's shirt to keep them from escaping. Regular customers were shocked to find out that such a fearless robbery had taken place in their neighborhood, which they describe as being generally quiet. Kidnapping and human trafficking are huge problems all around the world. Unfortunately, not all the victims get to escape the way this clip does. In fact, it's a rather rare win. This starts pretty innocuously with a car pulling into a gas station in Alabama. The car comes to a stop and the driver gets out to go into the corner shop. Just moments later, the trunk pops open and a young woman starts running out. Inside the store, footage shows the man casually walking around as the woman runs in. He doesn't try to grab her again, instead dashing out the door and into his car. The trunk is closed and he speeds off, clearly unaware that he's already been caught on camera the whole time. Police later identified the victim as Brittany Diggs, who used the light on her insulin pump to find the release latch and make her dramatic escape. You shouldn't have to be afraid of your surroundings. No matter what neighborhood, street corner, or wherever you are, unfortunately, sometimes just wearing something nice can put a target on your back. This gas station in Brickell, Miami, Florida is not where you should wear a $60,000 chain. The man, while standing at the pump, is quickly profiled by his attacker, held up at gunpoint, and robbed, all in half a minute. It's lightning fast, blink and you'll miss it kind of stuff, but sometimes that's how things go. The gas station is a delicate ecosystem. Many factors are in play and many different things are happening simultaneously. One thing is out of place and it could all be taken down. In seconds, this car crashes directly into the pump of this Westchester gas station. That might have been fine, but remember, it's a gas station and anything goes. Quickly, a man runs from the station to escape just in the nick of time. He not only manages to avoid getting hit, but he doubles back and rescues the man who crashed in the first place. It couldn't have been soon enough because just moments later the gas station was ablaze, taking both men's cars out in the flames. Rather an insurance claim than something more morbid, right? Crashes happen constantly. One of the worst places you could go to do so would be at a gas station. The chances of someone crashing into this tiny little Valero gas station are slim, but never zero. Despite only having 2 pumps, they were directly in the path of destruction on one gray Sunday morning. A car comes crashing through from the left, immediately catching fire at the pump. You might have missed it in person if you weren't paying attention. It's a small fire, but a fire at a gas pump is no joke. Not all cars can just walk off after a crash. This short clip shows some of the wreckage that comes from crashes like these. From the distance, a car suddenly speeds into the frame, crashing into a pole and flipping the vehicle. There's no immediate flames, but there's more damage this time. Some people are extremely lucky when it comes to crashes like this. What happened is a semi and a truck collided in this gas station lot, setting off a massive explosion and blocking off a chunk of the street. The crash feels so slow when you're as far away as this CCTV footage is, making it feel less high stakes than what it really can be. Of course, unless you count the fire and wreckage from it. While it's better to keep your distance from events like this, sometimes it's also good to get an up-close look at what damage and destruction could occur. The semi-truck's cab melted down completely, leaving a husk behind. There are many rules about what you should and shouldn't do at the pump. Lighting up is usually at the top. Most people know that. Unfortunately, this person paid for their own negligence. The gas pump had frozen, so she thought to thaw it out naturally. However, she thawed it out using a lighter, and the lighter caught the whole thing on fire. She pulls out the gas pump and the ensuing gas spray then catches fire. The video clip ends there, leaving us not knowing what comes next. But maybe that's for the best. Stupidity knows no bounds, but at least this one got caught on camera. Fires happen, especially in places filled with literal fuel. This man was seeking a fire, trying to burn down this New York City gas station directly. He fills a gas tank before spraying the ground. He ignites a piece of paper before dropping it on the ground. You can see as he grabs for the door, but his proximity to the flames proves extremely hazardous as it immediately catches him on fire. Who knows how the man made it out, but these flames did seriously injure at least one person due to their proximity. The flames go up, engulfing everything in sight before the emergency extinguishers take control and extinguish everything. What happens when those fail-safe procedures, well, fail? Sometimes those fire suppression systems malfunction, causing more damage than good. At a Massachusetts gas station, everyone was suddenly being blanketed with foam. There was no trigger, not the way it should have had, but from the street level a plume of white foam spread out beyond the lot and into the greenery around them. If there had been a fire, it would have been perfectly managed. However, without one, there's just a wild amount of mess. U.S. Marshals operating in Charlotte, North Carolina attempted to arrest fugitive Frankie Jennings in March of 2021. Jennings was wanted on several active warrants, including assault with a deadly weapon against a law enforcement officer. The March 23 footage shows Jennings pulling into a Citgo station just after 11 and exiting the car. He seems to have contacts in another vehicle that pulls up at the pump opposite him. As he begins to pump gas into the other vehicle, two undercover cars rocket into the gas station. Frankie initially puts his hands up, but he then decides to make a run for the driver's side of his car. Marshall soon realized Jennings was going for a gun in the cup holder. Worried that he would use the weapon or attempt to hit one of the officers, Marshall fired 3 shots, resulting in Jennings' death. In late July of 2023, a 35-year-old man was shot in the chest by a gunman outside Hunter's Pub in Houston. Surveillance footage shows the gunman speaking with a woman and a man before pouring his beer out and handing the empty cup back to the young lady. After a few more minutes of discussion, the shooter, later identified as 22-year-old Gabriel Garcia, gestures to his car before a young woman and a man exit. As the man attempts to engage Garcia, he pulls out a pistol, chasing him back inside. That's when the victim exits and confronts Garcia, who shoots him in the chest. The argument apparently started over whether or not Garcia could take his beer outside. He later turned himself in to the police. Going a little further, we have a different kind of encounter to show, one that it really should have been avoidable if not for the unpredictable nature of people. This one man out of Flagler County, Florida, didn't want to wait any longer. He had a cup of coffee in his hand and was waiting to pay in line. However, he cuts his wait short and throws the coffee cup down on the old man in line in front of him. This sets the old man off, who by most accounts hadn't actually done anything wrong. He indignantly follows the troubled man out to yell at him in the street, and the unhinged assailant does as any unhinged assailant ever does, and he launches into the old man, sending him down with one strong punch. A few other people approach the man for what he's done, and he was quickly apprehended by local police for the assault and battery. Best to get this danger off the streets, and even better to avoid interactions like this altogether if you can. Sticking with Florida for a bit, what would be the most Florida man interaction you could have? Would it be possibly bringing a mostly tame alligator into your local gas station as a prank? He comes in shouting about wanting beer while carrying an adolescent alligator with its mouth taped shut. This likely wouldn't have been an issue had the man not clearly been off his mind drunk, chasing employees and patrons around with God knows what intent.
Hey man, y'all got beer still? Y'all got beer still?
He's drunk. He doesn't technically need to be doing anything with a purpose, but it would be really good to understand what was going on. He later said he didn't remember anything about that night, so maybe he just thought it was funny. Speaking of animals you definitely don't want to see roaming your local 7-Eleven, this car-sized moose would be the last local you'd want to cross. Moose are not known for caring that they're wildlife and roaming just about anywhere they want. Thankfully, the people recording don't try to stop it. They just let the beast mosey on by, going about his moose-like business. That's probably for the best. Even a young moose like this can cause serious damage. It's best to stay on your toes anywhere you go. You never know where you'll stumble on the wrong crowd or get yourself in trouble. Going out into the world is sometimes kind of a gamble, and this Miami local learned firsthand just how quickly the tides can turn. A woman sitting in her driver's seat while the car fills up with gas is quickly accosted by a man walking by. He doubles back, assesses the situation, and decides to take a chance by yanking the woman out of the car and onto the pavement. He doesn't pull the gas pump out, he just drives off with it inserted, which causes some severe property damage to the establishment. He might stop momentarily, but soon just drives off into the distance. It's not healthy to always stay vigilant, but maybe a little could have helped her. Everyone has to go to the gas station. There's different areas and stations, but if you're in a bind in an unfamiliar neighborhood, you might get caught somewhere you don't want to be. This Karen in Phoenix, Arizona discovered firsthand what bringing the wrong energy into the wrong place can mean. The video starts immediately, with a woman shouting at the camera, telling the man behind it to leave. He continues to film, explaining that the woman was making racist comments before immediately launching it into a continued tirade. She and the woman go back and forth while the striped-dressed woman hurls insults at the woman in the pink top.
I said she is, and that's why she's leaving, so you will leave too.
No. This is going all over the internet. You don't know who I am. You told her to go back to her country where she's from.
I did not even do with her. That's assault.
Yeah.
You guys know that, right?
Yeah.
Where were you born? Where were you born? Where were you born? I was born in America. Where are your ancestors from? They're not from this country. You're going back to Mexico. You better go back to where you're from.
You just walked into her.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you deserved it.
Oh my God.
In my opinion. Yeah, you pushed her and she smacked you. That was self-defense on her part.
Oh, she grabbed me.
Nope.
Please.
Finally, the racist Karen gets into the woman's face, grabbing at her arm and is immediately slapped across the face. Both women storm off in their respective directions and the man continues documenting the interaction. Gas stations bring people who wouldn't normally interact into the same space. We may not know what started this, but we sure know what stopped it. No matter where or what you're doing, fully letting your guard down in public isn't a good idea. Unfortunately, these two women learned what that looks like while parked at a St. Charles gas station. Two teen boys snuck up on two cars at once, divide and conquer style. They can sneak into two white vehicles, one whose owner is inside the gas station and the other at the pump. The woman at the pump tries to retrieve her stolen items but fails, while the woman in the station is just a little too late. The woman at the pump whose purse was stolen also lost her keys, which meant she'd be stranded at the gas station on top of having lost her purse. They come back eventually for the woman's car, stealing that as well. Many robberies we've shown have gone off the rails, but this one seemed to have gone off without a hitch, at least for the thieves. When your car's on fire, you should cut your losses and get away. The last thing you want to do is be caught unaware as the fuel burns up and the motor explodes. Most people know not to light a cigarette at the pump, but some people don't think anything will happen to them. This man simply went to light a cigarette once he'd finished pumping his gas. Unfortunately for him, being inside the car isn't quite enough. Flames engulf him, his car, and the surrounding area, and we can see him run out from the burning vehicle off to safety. The flames immediately spark. He doesn't need to be at the pump, outside, or anything. The gas station attendants are quick snuffing out the flames before it becomes a catastrophe. Other than burns to his face and hands, the man was otherwise fine. But this is something he won't need to be reminded of next time he goes to fill up. Sometimes, however, you can't get those flames out quickly enough. This clip catches the moment a car seemingly spontaneously catches fire. 2 men are caught in the crossfire. This incident later sparked an arson investigation as people struggled to understand precisely what was happening when it happened. We see a sudden flashbang from inside the car, and then 2 unfazed men slowly get out of and away from the vehicle. Some people believe they may have been trying to destroy evidence, hoping the fire sparked a larger explosion, further destroying whatever they wanted to disappear. Imagine if you ignored everything around you and played dumb. This woman is the poster child of avoiding your problems. What could have been a simple traffic stop turned into a dangerous high-speed chase for everyone involved, including her small child in the back seat. Seemingly incapable of dealing with the situation, she sped off, leading the officer to the gas station and trying to fuel up as if nothing had happened.
I can hear you. I need driver license and insurance, please. I can't hear you. I need your window down. I do have my camera on. Can I have your driver license and insurance?
You don't have it on?
I do have it on. Can I have your driver's license? I'll call my supervisor. Can you call me? Can I have your driver's license and insurance? Okay, I'll get one out here for you. I need your driver's license and insurance.
I'm going to run out of gas and I'm driving because she's hungry.
Okay, I get that, but the quicker I get your license and insurance, the quicker we can get out of here.
Okay.
The quicker I get your information, the quicker we can get out of here.
Okay, she's
Thank
low.
you. I'll be right back. Do you want me to call an ambulance for you? Would you like me to call an ambulance for you? Okay, would you like me to call an ambulance for you? 07 dispatch.
No Air 1 today, all the pilots are out.
Eastbound Brat pulling into the gas station. told you I'd request EMSA.
No.
Get out of the car, ma'am.
I need you to send one of your supervisor officers to the E-Express at Memorial and Bryant. Your officer is
Trying to get out of the
break
car.
my
She's
elbow.
not getting out, and her passenger daughter is trying to help
And my
the child
daughter,
escape.
I'm not going to get out of this. I'm not contracting with you. No, let go with
Ma'am,
me.
you
I'm
need
not
to get
getting
out
out
of
of
the
my
car.
car. I'm trying to get her food. And
And
I was driving the same speed limit as everyone else.
I explained it to you.
You
As soon
took
as I
my
finished the
license and
citation,
you were.
you'd be good to go.
I'm not
I
doing
was going to
that.
write a quick citation. You were going to be good to go.
Dude, my daughter. Okay, I'm asking you to let go of my arm. I'm asking you to
My
let go.
supervisor's here now.
Please let go.
No, ma'am. I'm not letting go. You're going to get out of the vehicle.
I'm not getting out.
You're getting out of the
I'm
vehicle,
not getting
ma'am.
out.
The consequences always catch up with us, though, just like this officer eventually caught up with the chasee. Much of this clip's audio is redacted, but the two struggle. She resists arrest belligerently. The interaction continues for a while, turning into concern for her child's health. She's diabetic, the woman claims, and needs to eat. They're unable to get anywhere with her, refusing to get out of the car despite two officers pulling at her. It takes two men to forcibly remove the woman from her vehicle, though the way her child films quietly beside her leads us to believe that this is a regular occurrence. If there's one thing you can expect a criminal to do, it's try to escape being caught. While conducting surveillance at Montebello Long Beach, officers followed their suspect to a local gas station. The suspect, Ramirez, is cornered and surrounded by undercover officers long before he realizes what happened.
I shot. Hey, 998.
Van, you grab the left. Where are you hit?
Where are you shot? Where are you shot?
Ramirez tried to back himself out like a caged animal. Multiple cars block one exit, and he backs directly into an undercover vehicle trying to reverse out. Trying to exit that, he also hits a civilian car that happened to be there. The detectives and officers begin shooting at Ramirez, who becomes more and more haphazard trying to drive around the escape. He circles through the parking spaces, hitting a car, which also nearly hits an officer before finally escaping out into the street. What would you do if you were just grabbing a coffee at the local corner store and saw this crime drama-esque performance unfold? They eventually caught up to Ramirez in a parking garage, and he goes without a fight, lying on the ground and just waiting to be arrested. He'd been shot, but he can't communicate how bad or where it is. He doesn't resist because there's little he can do. What do you get for trying to escape from the police? A misdemeanor turns into a felony and people can get seriously hurt. This Milwaukee gas station CCTV catches the moments where bad turns to much worse when a vehicle comes crashing in from a distance. In the foreground, a man has left his hood up, clearly running into the shop to grab something to put into his car. With the crash and the ensuing fire, he, along with everyone else at the station, manages to flee. The person in the escape vehicle eventually exited, leaving the one gas station employee to snuff out the fire. He's thankfully successful, extinguishing it before things got even worse. Even if you think you're in control, you very well might not be. Driving with a revoked license under the influence of alcohol. That's where we start with this following clip. In Rice Lake, Wisconsin, dispatch received a 911 hang-up call, and officers immediately made it out to the scene. A woman was met with officers and explained that her husband had shown up before leaving despite their ongoing separation. While she didn't feel threatened anymore, she made it very clear she wasn't involved. The real action begins when the officers show up at the gas station and find him, and the man, Josh, locks himself into the vehicle to resist arrest.
I'm trying to separate myself from him, but it's very difficult when you're married to someone who's a narcissist and alcoholic. Sure. And I have PTSD from prior domestic abuse issues, and I just...
Well, with nothing physical happening and everything calm right now.
Is that him?
That's the white car?
I don't know if that's him or not. Yeah, I don't know if that's him.
Does he drive a white car?
Yes,
like that?
like that.
Okay.
That's a Buick.
Yeah.
You roll your window down? Hey man. Hey Josh. Hey Josh Springer. Oh, we just got called to spoke with, I believe it's your wife. You guys are separated right now. She said that there was a little incident that happened and then seen you drive by, so we figured we'd stop out here and talk to you and get your side of the story of what's going on tonight. Step out of the car, Josh.
Get out of the car.
Josh, get out of the vehicle.
Josh, unlock the vehicle. Yeah, you can finish it outside. Step out of the vehicle now. Josh, step out of the vehicle. Otherwise, I'm gonna break this window and drag you out of the car, okay? Get out of the car! Get out of the car! Get out of the car!
It's not that hard to not resist, is it?
I'm not resisting.
No attempts at de-escalation seem to make their way into the belligerent man, and the only way out is through the windows. They smash their way into the car to extract the man by any means necessary. Much like our last clip, this is only used when they have no choice. It takes a while, but they're able to remove him, getting the drunken, disorderly man onto the ground and cuffing him. Certainly not what you want to encounter at the local gas station. Sometimes things happen before you can react. The officer in our last few clips did their best to de-escalate, but you can't always see the danger coming. This gas station employee couldn't quite plan his course of action because the threat was coming for him, ready or not. He dodges the car expertly, despite his lack of preparedness. He had a split second to get out of the car's way and absolutely took it. He would have been part of the wreckage otherwise, for sure. The wreckage left the store closed for some time as they had to replace inventory, coolers, and more. Thankfully, the one thing that couldn't be replaced, the employee's life, wasn't lost, all because of his quick thinking. Under the wrong circumstances, it doesn't matter how good of a driver you are. The drifting joyrider likely felt entirely in control until suddenly he wasn't. While doing circles around these pumps in a Detroit gas station, messing around with a stolen car he was in, this man crashed directly into the BP pump. His sloppy handling of the vehicle led to a burning car, something that could have been avoided had he not been messing around in the first place. Have you ever driven off without pulling the pump out? If the internet is to be believed, this happens all the time. People not paying attention, nearly yanking the fuel tank out of the ground along with them. In a rush, the man gets back into his car and gives the whole pump a good run for its money. Thankfully, no one and nothing is seriously damaged, but with enough force or speed, well, that might not have been the case. It's not always the driver's fault. Sometimes things just fail. You can almost feel this man's panic set in for a moment. Unlike other people though, he freezes, watching as the gas sprays out from the pump and all over his vehicle. The clip ends suddenly, hopefully with him getting out and away from the dangerous situation, but not all people have the best response to danger. Some people will just sit and let it happen. High-speed crashes are dangerous and terrifying for everyone involved. The drivers, witnesses, and the emergency response team that has to come in after them. This driver hardly has time to react as their car comes to a halt, crashing into an orange gas station at speeds we can barely see. It happens quickly because he's moving fast. The driver was suspected to be under the influence, but seemingly not altogether maimed. Some people just get all the luck. It's best to avoid messing with bears, but when you have to, you just have to. This bear walked into a gas station as if he owned the place. And maybe in his head, once he'd worked out the door, he may as well have. He's hungry, looking for somewhere warm, and perhaps the gas station seems appealing. As a young brown bear enters the station, a browsing customer smacks its hind end like a rowdy dog. He follows the animal inside and the bear proceeds to very much so make himself at home. It should go without saying your best bet here isn't to get chummy with the wild animal, but in this case everyone involved was okay and the bear was rounded up by the California Department of Fish and Wildlife. It's not the end of the world, but a wild story to tell either way. This footage from Irvine shows just how quickly thieves can strike when a car is left unattended. In this case, the suspect pulled up at a Chevron and immediately began looking around at cars getting gas. Seeing that one of the cars was unlocked, the man grabbed a bag containing an expensive Fuji camera from the front seat. The incident happened in the middle of the day and it only took a few seconds for the thief to make off with his prize. This footage also comes from California, only this time it's from a small desert-sized city of Indio. It shows a suspected drunk driver who's recently fled from the police crashing into 2 gas station pumps, causing them to burst into flames. Both the man and his dog survived the crash, despite the incredible amount of damage done to the station. Cell phone footage from nearby workers showed just how bad the situation was. Estimates put the damage at around $100,000, and the 24-year-old driver now faces a litany of charges, including animal cruelty. Citizens pulling guns on other citizens is bad enough, but imagine having the nerve to pull a weapon on a cop. Still, that's just what happened this evening on April 19th of 2022 when the Pinellas Park Police Department officers responded to a local Circle K over reports of a domestic disturbance. The footage shows an officer arriving at the gas station and approaching the rear of a car, only to have someone open the back door and open fire at him.
Now, give me your keys now. Which one is your? Which one? Yeah.
The cop leaves to the side and calls for backup, having been hit in the bicep. The shooter, later identified as Calvin Brockington, then goes inside the store and demands that a random customer give him his keys. After retrieving them, he runs to that individual's car as another officer arrives and attempts to engage him. They exchange a few shots, but Brockington eventually escapes onto the highway. Luckily, he didn't make it that far before he was apprehended by deputies and taken into custody. A Wicker Park man filling up his car at around 4 a.m. when he was approached by a group of men who immediately began to beat him savagely. The footage opens with the man entering the gas station, paying little attention to the multiple cars pulling in behind his. The three cars start to encircle the pump, and one of the men boldly climbs into the driver's seat. When the victim attempts to engage the man, one of his accomplices comes up and starts hitting him from behind, taking his car. Fortunately, a police officer drives by just a second later, and the victim is able to flag them down. The car was found running just 4 blocks away, and though it was returned immediately, the carjackers were not caught. Though not all encounters at gas stations turn deadly, sometimes that's only due to sheer luck. In April of 19, a woman accidentally drove her vehicle directly into a Circle K gas station, scaring the clerk and moving the counter by at least 3 or 4 feet. Though she stayed at the scene and nobody was injured, she was later charged with driving while intoxicated and will likely face a huge insurance bill. One gunman is scary enough, but imagine being a gas station clerk and having to stare down 4 armed ones at once. That's precisely what happened to a North Houston gas station worker in May of 2023 when 4 men approached the counter and pointed their weapons directly at him. The clerk wisely opened the register and allowed them to take as much money as possible along with some cigarettes. Aside from being a bit shaken up, the clerk was fortunately not hurt. In May of 23, an Atlanta man was at an Exxon gas station near some of the gambling machines. After disappearing off camera for a few minutes, he returns with a small sledgehammer and begins striking the machine. Though not visible, reports indicate that the man's accomplice pointed a gun at the clerk when he attempted to call 911. Both men then gave up on the coin machine and instead robbed the gas station itself, making off with roughly $1,000. Robbery and assault are terrible crimes, but at least they have motives. In June of 2023, a man attempted to set fire to a Detroit gas station by dumping trash on the floor and then lighting it with a handheld torch. The fire ended up trapping the frightened clerk behind the counter. Though he did escape, he had to be treated for first-degree burns. The suspect was eventually caught and charged with a litany of crimes, including arson and attempted murder. A Brazen robbery took place at a Texas gas station in the middle of the July heat. At around 3:30 in the morning, a man was walking out to his car from the gas station convenience store when 3 men surrounded him, pointed a gun at him, and demanded his car keys. He quickly gave up the keys and the men all piled into the car. However, they still decided to fire several shots out of the window as they drove away. Footage from inside the store shows the suspects milling around and apparently taking turns using the bathroom. Immediately upon exiting, they confront the man, taking his belongings before taking his keys. The car was found the next day abandoned, but at least nobody was hurt. If you've made it this far, consider subscribing to our channel before moving on to today's final clip. We post 2 new videos each week, showcasing real-world dangers and crime, keeping you informed about what's happening out there. Make sure to enable post notifications to stay updated with our latest releases. If you enjoyed this video, there's plenty more on our channel that you won't want to miss. As a last resort, officers do have their weapons to keep themselves and surrounding civilians safe. It's not always the best course of action, but when all else fails, it is a course of action that can be taken. Out of Hudson, Florida, these cops caught the harrowing moments as 79-year-old James Zambrano decided to take the law into his own hands outside of a racetrack gas station. As the cops ask Zambrano to get out of the car, he refuses, which leads to plenty of back and forth, believing the man to be a danger to himself and those around him. He doesn't seem able to communicate clearly, escalating the situation more as time passes.
Can you put the car in park?
I can't park because I already told you what's happening.
I don't understand what you're trying to say.
I'm not hurt. You understand what I'm saying?
I don't.
My name is James Zambrano.
Okay.
Yes. Very good. You can understand that, James Zambrano.
Okay.
Okay? And somebody's got a tap on my phone in here, and they know every minute what I'm doing. And I keep saying I'm going to either run through the window or I'm going to run into the car once he moves it. And they've already done that. I don't know how many times. I've already pissed my pants.
So why can't you step out of the car?
Because I'm not going to go out. I'm doing the same thing you're not. You're going to want me to get out of this car so they can find and get me.
Hey, why don't we go inside and get a coffee?
All right. Keep it up.
Why don't we go inside and get a coffee?
Okay. Just keep see, now you got all kinds of guys that you don't think I want to run into. I'll run into anything. It takes 2 seconds for me to hit it.
You're going to go to jail then. You're going to go to jail if you do that.
What are you doing? I can't hear you.
Don't talk to me. I already told him my name. Don't talk to me.
What are you reaching for?
There's another girl.
Don't reach for anything.
So we can talk to you? Alright. Just put it in park for me, that's all. We don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to move. I just need you to put it in park for me, that's all. James, we're just talking to you, that's all. You're not in any trouble. Do me a favor, put your car in park for me.
Do you realize if you go any further, your tires are going to get popped?
We need him in the back. Get out of the way, that's all.
What are you doing?
Hank, put the car.
What are you doing, James? What are you trying to do here?
Don't reach for anything. Do not reach for anything.
It's a gun. Hey!
Do not. Do not. Do not. Put your hands up. Bash the window. Put the windows up. Hey, put the window down. Put that gun down now. Put the gun down. I do not want to do this. Put the gun down. Put the gun. I do not want to do this, sir. I'm looking at it. Lift your hand up. Lift your hand up. Put your hand on the steering wheel now. Put your hand on the steering wheel.
Despite the officer's continued attempts to level the belligerent and seemingly dangerous man, a second officer joins the scene as they continue to try and level with Zambrano. He thinks they're trying to put him to sleep or are listing him on the radio. Paranoid delusions that make him a concern for himself, the officers, as well as anyone around him. He won't tell them much more than his name and doesn't seem able to recall the date or where he is. His window eventually closes, refusing to talk to the officers as additional squad cars join the scene. They've set up traps to pop his tires if he moves, but nothing can get through to him. Eventually, they lose control of the situation as the old man pulls a gun out of his car. The energy shifts as the group of them pull away from the dangerous, delirious, and armed man. We won't show the rest of the clip, but when all else failed and the situation escalated beyond control, multiple weapons were eventually discharged. No one was seriously injured, and Zambrano was cared for at a nearby hospital for his wounds.